Hi gang, it's Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Nice to be back. And today I'd like to talk about our good old friend Mr. 251. The chord pattern that every jazz musician has to know in order to make music. The only caveat here is that while we learn patterns, right, like the 251, and I'm sure many of you know what that is, but I'll get more into it. While we learn those patterns, we can't overly generalize because there are many tunes, important tunes, that we are under the misapprehension that they're built on 251s. They're really not. And there are also alternatives, right? There are these substitute chords. There's a whole kind of alternative universe of substitute chords, which I'll talk about. So for those of you who might just be starting, we use the term 251, right? We use the Roman numbers, lowercase 2, uppercase 5, and uppercase 1 to connote the scale degrees in the scale. And in the key of C, we would have D minor 7, let's say, 2, 7, G7, 2, I'm going to be real picky, and then C major 7, okay, and of course that would be major 7 as well, right, if I'm writing that out. So and that would sound like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C, D, E, F, G, right? And we're making chords exclusively from the notes of the major scale, right, which we call diatonic, right? Dia meaning through, tonic meaning key. So these are the notes that are natural, if you will, to the key. And right now I'm just using basic 7th chords in root position, no fancy voicings of any kind. However, so the rule is whenever you see a dominant 7 chord, right, you can use another dominant 7 chord a tritone away. A tritone, T-R-I-T-O-N-E, a tritone away, meaning 3 whole steps. So what's 3 whole steps above or below G? G up to A up to B, B up to C sharp, right? Or if I go down, G down to F, F down to E flat down to D flat. Different spelling and harmonic spelling, but essentially the same interval. That's precisely in the middle of the octave. Those are just if you invert a tritone, you get a tritone. So rather than the tritone substitution for G flat 7 would be either D flat 7, or you could also call it C sharp 7. Either one of those would work just fine, depending on what the context is. So 251, 2, D minor 7, D flat 7, C major 7. That would work equally as well as G7. Right. So G7, right? Or that's D flat 7. Does that sound interesting? Or we're going to split the difference. So you see, you can add some variety and color to what you're doing. We get overly they say, what is it? They say convenience. The highway to hell is paved with convenience. So we have all these convenient things now, and we have fake books and chord charts and all of that. But that's all well and good. It's like getting a recipe. But after a while, you add things to it. You modify things to your taste. Okay, and likewise with music. So that's one possibility, right? Where you can do that kind of a cadence, right? A cadence. Again, the word cadence, C-A-D-E-N-C-E, it's just a series of chords, but it typically has some sense of finality. Typical perfect, authentic cadence. They all have names, but this sense of beginning, middle, and then this sense of finality. So, interesting thing about jazz is that whereas most music, say, starts and ends on the tonic chord, so in C we have, in jazz, we actually start above in anticipation of the tonic that we're going to. Now, here's a really interesting thing. If I could use a G7 chord, tritone away, well, why couldn't I use a 2 chord that was a tritone away? Of course I could, right? Why? Because the 2 chord belongs to the dominant. So instead of D minor 7, G7, right? What chord belongs to the D flat 7? Well, it's A flat. D flat is the 5th note in the key of G flat. G flat, A flat, B flat, C flat, D flat. And you should learn these keys: F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B, C sharp. Either way, the 2 chord, A flat or G sharp. Now, that's a 2-5-1 in G flat, a tritone above. However, we're not going, right? We're not resolving. The word is resolving. We're not resolving to G flat. We're resolving to C. That's the resolution. So, that is, by the way, Take the A Train is really an iconic song. I just never get tired of hearing it. It's just a fabulous song. You know, these great songs, how can you tell they're great songs? Well, one way to tell is that the song sounds like it's always existed. Like, can you imagine a world without Take the A Train? The Roman Empire did not have Take the A Train. The Roman Empire didn't have trains, as far as I know. They had chariots, right, I guess. I remember visiting the Mediterranean, going on a cruise with my parents as a child, and we're going to Greece, and going to Ephesus and Crete, and seeing ancient ruins, and literally seeing like chariot marks, wheel marks in the marble stone. How did I get off on that? Well, I guess because I just did, and that's I'll remember why I got off on that in a minute. But songs, right? So a song that sounds like it's always been around. I mean, it to me it's almost traumatic to think that Take the A Train didn't exist in Roman times. I mean, they were so much worse off for it. And C, D7 flat 5, D minor, G7, turnaround, A7, D minor, G. That's pretty standard. But G7, right now. Or that's a stretch, but it kind of works. Or that's A flat to D flat. Now that's fun when you're improvising. So you can take a set of chords and truncate them a bit, kind of shorten them, and stick in another 2-5-1, and now suddenly you have something that sounds even more interesting. That's the opposite. 2, A flat, D flat, D, G, C. That was the opposite. A flat, D minor, G. Now, some of those notes might sound a little crunchy, might sound a little dissonant, but that's kind of, here's another example. In Green Dolphin Street, on Green Dolphin Street, a little chord pattern that Jim McNeely taught me. You know, that's Green Dolphin Street. Okay, now 2-5 in E flat, F minor 7, B flat 7. So F minor 7, B flat 7, E flat major 7. Here's an alternative. B flat. Now listen. B minor, E flat, E7, E flat. Isn't that cool? It just uplifts the song up as opposed to going. That's just, it's fine, but it's can get, you know, kind of dull, kind of predictable. So this, and when you're improvising, see, and it just lifts the song up, you know. So whenever you're learning 2-5-1s, I mean, typically when we practice 2-5-1s, we go up a fourth, down a fifth. I mean, that's how music works for the most part. So, you know, D minor, G, C major, to B flat, to the key of A flat, to the key of G flat. That's the pattern, right? So I'm going by whole steps. C, B flat, A flat. I'm going through 6 keys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, back to the C again. Do the same exercise up a half step. Right? So from D, going that way. Why not think about doing the exercises, taking 2 keys, D minor, G, A flat, D flat, C, and then when you, rather than just doing a simple 2-5-1 to the key of B flat, to what was I doing? Yep, 2, 5. What did I do there? Again, first one I did was D minor, G7, A flat, D flat, C. Then the next key, the ultimate key is going to be B flat. C minor, F7, and then F sharp, B7, B flat major, then B flat minor, E flat, E, A7, and then resolving to A flat. Isn't that interesting? So you take the knowledge that you already have, if you're already good at 2-5s, which probably a lot of you are already, you know, then play a little game and say, okay, could I interweave them, right? This is interweaving. You interweave them. So you have, you rather than playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. That's kind of how you might do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A flat, D flat. I kind of moved on the keyboard. Oh, no. Did I do that right? Yeah, we want to do, So how do I know that's right? Here's an easy way to check, right? Whatever key you're going to, you want to make sure you're playing a dominant chord a half step above the key you're going to. So, you know, that dominant chord is that tritone substitution. So I was in the key of G flat. I have to make sure that I play a G7 before the G flat. And the 2 chord that goes with the G7 is D minor. And then the 2-5 in G flat is A flat minor 7, D flat 7. And maybe improvising. So D minor 7, G7 kind of goes along with A flat minor 7, D flat 7, and you're kind of, you know, ping-ponging one bing bong, and then you're ending up with the C. Okay. That's one way to do it. I was actually doing it like this. D, G. I was going 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th chord was that. So there's all kinds of interesting stuff. Let's see, I haven't played this in a while. I think it's Yardbird Suite. Interesting, that kind of came to my mind because that starts in C and then F minor, B flat, and then it goes to back to C. I How do I remember that? I don't know. I don't remember the melody, but let's see. Something like that, you know. But going up to the 2-5 in E flat, that's unusual. Doing that, there's a few tunes that do that have that third relationship. Like for instance, I was talking about this wonderful Gershwin, and then it goes up to G. That's a harmonic relationship that few people really exploit. You know, that third relationship. I was thinking about fourths. Similar idea to can't take that away from me. It goes from E flat up to G minor. So similar idea. That's a major third relationship, but in this instance, we're talking about a minor third relationship. You know, now that's kind of a whole nother bag, man. In this instance, I wasn't really using a tritone substitution. I was simply just aiming for a key, a deceptive cadence that was a minor third above the root. Charlie Parker. There was also what was that tune? Scrapple from the Apple. Yeah, that's another good Charlie Parker tune. And why am I mixing up the bridge? Or is that, I don't know if I remember the bridge. Gosh, you don't play these tunes a lot. They kind of slip from you. You have to play them all the time. Anywho, now once you get past the basic, right, your basic voicings, then you do whatever voicings that you want. You do your extensions, your 9ths and 13ths, or you do your shell voicings. You do those things. And that's kind of like the next step to not only interweave the different keys, say a tritone way, but also interweaving the different types of voicings. So let's just say there's, and I'll talk more about that maybe next week. We're kind of getting out of time, but there's two flavors of these shell voicings that I like very much. So the first one is where you take the middle notes of a chord, D, F, A, C, and you play them on top, okay? Right? That's 2-5-1, D minor 7, G9, C major 7. Now, the other way of doing that is to play a third down here, D and F, and play the 7th and the 9th up top. You start with the 9th rather than the 7th. So D minor 9, G13, C major 9. I have videos about these on my website. Now, why would you want to do that? Because depending on where you are in the register, there's a practical reason why you need another voicing. You're not going to voice a chord in voice chord in a certain way. It's going to sound too muddy. So here's the D minor 7, G7, A flat minor, D flat 7, and then C, right? Here I'm doing this root position, second inversion, root position, second inversion, root position. I'm jumping all around. It doesn't sound very smooth. If I want to use some smooth voice leading and using some different kinds of voicings, I can have an economy of motion and not be so jarring to the ear, and it'll even sound better. And it'll work in this register of the piano. So D minor 9, G13, A flat minor 9, D flat 13. Didn't have to jump around, but now you can practice that, right? You just practice one flavor, and then you practice the other. You practice the other flavor. Maybe practice the other flavor a tritone above, and then you can kind of, snip out, again, truncate them and then kind of dovetail them together. Okay, I think that's enough. That was kind of a hard lesson today, wasn't it? It's sort of hard. It's hard for me. But you got to do what you're inclined to do. I'm kind of inclined to do that, and I just sort of like it. So I do it. But if you don't like it, don't do it. Especially if you're over 21. Just do what you want. Alrighty. Nice to see you again. And make a comment below. Like and subscribe. They always say that. Like and subscribe. Smash that like button. That's what they always say. And leave a comment. And I'll see you next time. So long.